Welcome back to Two Film Buffs, and these are the great directors who have never won an Oscar for the Best Director. Stanley Kubrick. He directed some of the most iconic films ever, like Spartacus, Doctor Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and A Clockwork Orange. In fact, it's actually bewildering how he has not won an Oscar for Best Director with all of these unbelievable, epic movies. I mean, these are movies that are absolutely iconic to cinema nowadays. Maybe at the time they weren't as big and they've become cult classics, but for what I know, Stanley Kubrick was the main guy in Hollywood. Apparently he was even asked to film some of the moon landing on the shots that they faked, and it was said that they paid him in lenses. Total conspiracy right there. But I think that's for an entirely different video. So how did he not ever win an Oscar for Best Director? In fact, he was actually nominated for Best Director for quite a few of the movies previously mentioned, but always fell short. Quentin Tarantino. Whilst he has definitely won an Oscar for Best Screenwriting for movies like Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, he's actually never won an Oscar for Best Director, which is absolutely unfathomable. Let me just list off some of his great movies that he has directed. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill Volume 1, Kill Bill Volume 2, Inglourious Bastards, The Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. By the way, if I didn't mention some of the films that you know Quentin Tarantino for, that is because most of these movies were either co-directed with other directors or it was only just written by Quentin Tarantino, just like True Romance, which is one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies, but it was actually only written by him and not directed. Also the 75% of From Dusk Till Dawn, before the vampires all come in. I know that's what the movie's about, but beforehand, that movie was just epic, and then it turns into vampires. But once again, I find it absolutely crazy that this man has not won an Oscar for Best Director, when he is one of the best directors in Hollywood. Wes Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Now everyone knows Wes Anderson, and you can tell his movies by a mile off. He's known for his unique style that is often an acquired taste. Yet, Anderson has surprisingly never won an Oscar for Best Director. He's only received nominations for this category for movies like The Grand Budapest Hotel, but sadly missed out. He has also directed movies like Asteroid City, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Royal Tenenbaums, The Darjeeling Limited, and Life Aquatic. With how popular Wes Anderson is, it is actually very surprising that he's never won an Oscar for Best Director, especially as it seems how much Hollywood seems to love this guy. Now personally, I am not the biggest fan of his movies. I love his style and I love the colors he uses in his movies, but his movies aren't really for me.
It's not for me.
Spike Lee. Despite his groundbreaking work, Spike Lee has never won an Oscar for Best Director. He received his first and only Best Director nomination in 2012 with Black KKK Klansman, and ended up losing to Alfonso Cuarón.
Now, my name is not Alphonse, and I am not on a date with you. Look, Alphonse.
Spike Lee has directed such epic movies like Do the Right Thing, Black KKK Klansman, Malcolm X, Old Boy, Inside Man, and Jungle Fever. I think personally the reason why Spike Lee hasn't actually won Best Director is probably because he is black, and you know from Hollywood that they have been quite racist over the years, and they haven't really given black people that recognition in the movie industry or in the media industry that much. And the sad thing is they put him into his own category of black directors when he really shouldn't be, and he should be up there with the rest of the directors, because it shouldn't even be between white or black. It should be about the movie making itself. It shouldn't be anything to do with where this person comes from or the color of their skin. It needs to be, can this person create an epic movie? And the answer is yes for Spike Lee, and he does deserve the Oscar for Best Director. Alfred Hitchcock. It's funny how the master of suspense has never actually won an Oscar for Best Director. Despite Best Director nominations for his work on Rebecca, Lifeboat, Spellbound, and Rear Window, and of course Psycho, he never won an Oscar for Best Director, which is absolutely insane. Because if you had asked me like a few years ago, I would have said surely he must have won an Oscar for Best Director. He's one of the most famous directors in all of Hollywood. Some more movies that I didn't mention: The Birds, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Strangers on the Train, and To Catch a Thief. In fact, if you had studied film like I had done, you would definitely know about Alfred Hitchcock, and the fact that he hasn't won an Oscar for Best Director is actually crazy. Is this a Mandela effect or something? David Fincher. Known for his dark style of films, he has never actually won an Oscar for Best Director. Despite multiple nominations for his works like in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, and Mank, David Fincher is truly known as one of the world's greatest directors as of today. Yet, how has he never won an Oscar for Best Director? I'm just going to list off some of David Fincher's masterpieces. Well, some of his work. Fight Club, Seven, Gone Girl, Alien 3, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Zodiac, Panic Room. And that's just to name a few. Like, personally, how he did not win the Oscar for Best Director for Fight Club is actually crazy. But there's so many on this list that has just absolutely blown my mind making it kinda isn't surprising anymore. Jordan Peele. Now personally, I think Jordan Peele is one of the greatest directors of today. From his comedy writing from Key and Peele to his latest movies like Get Out, Us, and Nope. I mean, Nope isn't as good as Get Out and Us, but yes, I still think they were beautifully directed. But still, whilst he is still relatively new to the game, Peele is yet to win an Oscar for the Best Director, despite how impactful his movies have been. In fact, Steven Spielberg himself recently mentioned about Jordan Peele and about how he absolutely loves Jordan Peele's movies. For me, as an aspiring director, that recognition from Steven Spielberg is more important than any Oscar you can possibly win. For me, that is the Oscar. So in this case, maybe it's not as important that the award has eluded him because he is getting recognition not only from his peers, from the people that he was inspired by to create these movies. But yes, as an aspiring film director, my two goals are to 1. Get recognition from Quentin Tarantino, 2. Get recognition from Steven Spielberg, and 3. Get my movie or TV show cancelled, because that is the finest form of flattery. Sam Raimi. Despite directing iconic films like the Evil Dead series and the original Spider-Man trilogy, Raimi has not even received a nomination in the category of Best Film Director for an Oscar. Here's just a short list of some of Sam Raimi's movies. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, The Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, Army of Darkness, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Oz the Great and Powerful. And yeah, with all of these movies that he has directed, which in most cases these are epic movies high up on the Hollywood list, he has not won an Oscar or even been nominated for Best Director. That just does not make sense at all. But what do you guys think? Are there any directors that we missed out who got snubbed at the Oscars? Which one of these is the most mind-blowing that hasn't won an Oscar for Best Director? Which one of these ones definitely does deserve that Oscar for Best Director? Just let us know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.